Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7, and today is late night patch notes. I actually forgot it was tonight, so I am actually late on the late night patch notes. It's 4:44 a.m. But of course I haven't been spoiled by anything yet, and I have no idea who's on here. I have a couple guesses for Moonlights. Obviously there's a few that have just been abysmal lately. Specifically, Kawerik has been really not so good. Judge Kisei, maybe not as good anymore. There's a ton, and there's a ton of 4 stars and 5 stars they can do. Obviously, Araminta would be nice, but I know it's not Araminta because I don't have 50 Discord PMs right now. So I guess we just see who it is. I don't even know who to hope for RGBs. I would love some 4-star love. I'd love some 3-star love. Let's just see. I just want the ML to be units I have. And okay, yeah, that's a good start. I do have Mediator Kawerik. Okay. Etta, okay, even better. I forgot about Etta. I hope they don't just give her something minor and say that's that. Yufine, okay. They keep doing this to Yufine, don't they? Like, there's so many other units. BBK. That's kind of interesting, especially since the way her skill 3 worked was worded wrong or something like that recently, or not calculating correctly. Carmen Rose, okay, I did ask for a 3-star. Interesting, so only 5 choices in the Artifact, Merciless Glutton, no, Black Hand of the Goddess, and Shepherd of Chaos. Okay, let's just see what's going on here. So, I forget what he does because he doesn't really do anything. Let's just read here. So, dashes towards the enemy to attack, increasing combat readiness of the ally of the caster by 15%, and the ally except for the caster. Okay, so he speeds himself up and somebody else instead of just somebody else. Cool. And attacks the enemy with the Mediator's power, dispelling the buffs first before decreasing attack for 2 turns, and granted barrier to all allies for 2 turns. Okay. So extra damage and barrier strength. The Dispel is not too great, IMO. Like, it's good, but it's not particularly great because you're not going to be building him effectiveness, right? He's going to need speed, possibly ER, possibly HP, all of the things, right? So it's really going to not land a lot, but it still is obviously a pretty sweet buff. And depending on how much the damage is buffed, that could really help out a lot too, because right now he doesn't really do anything, right? Like, he doesn't really support enough. He does no damage or anything like that. So what does this one do? So, okay. This now increases combat readiness of the caster by 50%. When the skill is available at the start of the turn, decrease debuff duration on the caster by 1 turn. Okay. So this is pretty sweet. So this kind of allows you to semi-ignore ER, right? Because you can ignore ER now and decrease debuffs on himself by 1 turn. Okay. That's pretty cool. Especially since you're going to be able to boost yourself up after. But how is this enough? Huh. I don't know if this is enough. Because he's just kind of going to do the same thing as before, just slightly better, right? Again, I think it depends on his skill 2 here. Because he can take as many turns as he wants. He's still not going to do anything with his abilities, right? Interesting. I'm kind of curious. What do they say about this? Was initially designed to be a warrior capable of protecting allies. However, far too high stats for the hero were required. Increases his own CR to take a turn earlier. And dispels enemy buffs with balance of power. The strength of the barrier are increased. Nature Restoration will now increase CR of the caster by 50% and decrease the debuff. Easing the need to set proper equipment. Yeah. Increase his own combat readiness to take a turn earlier? Are they saying take the first turn earlier or just take other turns? This is not the first turn, right? Yeah, it's not the first turn. Interesting. This is the one I'm interested in. So Icy Impact. Ooh, defense down. 75% defense down. Okay, that's way better than unhealable. Okay, and attacks the enemy with an explosion of ice, dispelling 2 buffs. It was 1 buff before. For decreasing. Ooh, grants her skill null. Okay. Okay. Also 15 to 40 instead of 5 to 20. So like tripling the minimum and doubling the top end. Skill nullifier is really exciting. And the soul burn is definitely good now. The soul burn before was just never really used. Even though it was only 10 souls, it was just never really used. 1, she would never live long enough. And 2, it just like, there were better things to use your souls on. And having to choose between either doing your stun or your dispel was kind of like not a good place, right? If you have a kit where skill 2 dispels, skill 3 stuns, you kind of need some sort of presence to do both at once. Mui kind of amplifies that, right? With her 35% chance to do it again with her EE. Okay, so releases energy attack all enemies with a 60% chance to stun and increases combat readiness of allies by 20%. Okay. And when an ally uses a non-attack skill and this skill is available, increases CR the caster by 20%. Okay, so they took away her crit. For the love of thank you. That was terrible. I'm really glad they decided that. So you can actually build her non-crit now. And now you kind of just build her just super disruptive, right? Because she can protect herself. She can dispel 2 buffs now instead of 1. She can decrease defense on a skill 1, which is pretty solid. And she super buffs herself with non-attack skills, which is great. And this isn't once every round too, right? This is any time. This is any skill 2. So if you have a couple people that cycle through their skill 2s pretty quickly, like, I don't know, RNL Ran, for example, although they're the same element. So what do they say? Etta was designed to be a team supporter by stunning all enemies and decreasing their CR while increasing ally CR. However, her speed and the actual performance of her skills did not meet expectations. We have changed Cold Snap to dispel 2 buffs and decrease far much more combat readiness to enemies. And when an ally uses a non-attack skill, the skill increases CR of Etta, enabling her to take her turn faster. When you have enough souls, use the changed Soul Burn, Cold Snap, and Absolute together. Yeah, I like this. I still don't know if it's going to do anything, right? Because the problem with units like this, like debuffers like this, especially ice debuffers right now, because you use an ability and Violet's like, oh, you're dead, you know? Like, yeah, you're going to have skill nullifier, but then Violet's going to go and kill you. And Landy and stuff. It's really hard for like an ice type unit like this right now. Huh. I guess we'll see how this goes. Maybe ignoring her crit now and just building super bruiser tanky with tons and tons and tons of effectiveness. Interesting. What about Yufine? Why Yufine? So weird. So this increases the effectiveness of the caster for 2 turns. And Soul Burn extends the buffs and grants an extra turn. Okay. Okay. So now you can skill 3 into skill 2 and you'll have the effectiveness, right? Huh. It's kind of frustrating. I don't mean to complain, but we got 5 units in this balance change. And this is one of them. Like, it just seems kind of like not enough. Like, I feel like there should be more changes than this, right? Like, is this gonna do anything? I don't think it's gonna do anything, right? Huh. Like, it's a good change, don't get me wrong, but it's not gonna change anything, or it doesn't make me want to use her, right? Like, you've already got the extra turn. You've already, like, the effectiveness, cool. But still, like, if you consider the effectiveness, you're still not gonna have enough to land on anybody with ER, right? So, like, I would say the vast majority of time, the effectiveness isn't going to do anything. Like, am I right on that? Because all the targets you're hitting have 0 ER, and you're going to hit them with 0 effectiveness. And all the targets you're not hitting are either getting 15%, of course, or have like 150 plus ER, in which case the effectiveness is basically doing 0. Not really happy about this being added in there. It's always good she gets a buff, but this is the type of thing that should be done regularly to a large amount of characters that need help. Like, this is such a small, minute change that I really feel like... Oh, it's got -1 cooldown too. I didn't actually see that. That does help quite a bit, but I don't think it's going to super change much. And BBK. Okay. So BBK quickly strikes the enemy with a sword, increases CR of the caster by 15% when enemy is defeated. Okay, so it separates it. So now it's not 50%, it's guaranteed 15 and then 35% after, which is pretty solid. Her sword here at the start of the battle grants immortality to the caster. Okay, that seems pretty good. Like, that's a really good buff, right? Yeah, that's a really good buff. Just getting straight up immortality right off the bat. Huh. That's pretty good. I think that's really going to help her in a lot of teams, especially teams versus AI. So something like Guild War or Arena, where you know what's going to happen. That's really cool. And what is Blade Art Dragon? Attacks all enemies, sacrificing 20% of the caster's health, and increases attack of the caster for 2 turns. Grants the caster an extra turn. The skill cannot trigger a counterattack. Okay, that's a pretty good way to make units semi-useful, is give them this line. Like, it seems like that's their way of buffing things, you know? Like, you cannot counterattack, or you get an extra turn when you use this ability. So the attack doesn't get buffed for the attacks all enemies, right? So that's only for your like skill 1 after, which is still pretty solid. Okay. Preventing counterattacks, additionally sequential cutter. Okay, so this is kind of cool. I know a lot of people built kind of meme BBKs. I don't know if it's meme or not, but I saw a lot of them on counter. And I feel like giving yourself attack buff will help the counter sets, although maybe they were using MLDB already. Interesting, but not being able to counterattack is insane. Will help the cleave out for sure. Okay, and Carmen Rose. I don't even remember what she does. So after using Vampirism, has a 100% chance to increase combat readiness of the caster by 5%? It's a 5% CR boost, and it takes away when the element is Earth. Interesting. And disease is the same thing. It can target non-Earths altogether. And Wedge is when the caster's health is 50% or more, has a 100% chance to increase the effectiveness before the skill effect. Okay, that's pretty good. And Trust is the caster and the ally, except for the caster with the highest. Okay. Interesting. So I think we need to take a look at here. I think a lot of people are really unhappy with anything that is if the target is Earth, if the target is Ice, or if the target is Fire. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Obviously, you can like that, you cannot like that. It's all opinion, but the problem isn't if the target is an Earth Elemental. If the target is an Earth Elemental, it's the buff you get when it happens. Like, really, you're going to limit it to Earth Elemental and give you 20% effectiveness? You're going to give a 60% chance to unhealable when it's Earth? You're going to get a 30% increase if it's Earth? Like, that was the problem. The problem wasn't the Earth part. Interesting. I really think they could double down on the Earth stuff and actually make that part effective, and then she will be used against Earth units. Like, make her take less damage from Earth AoE, because that's a big problem with like counterattacks and stuff like that. Make it so she cannot be evaded against Earth units. Make it so she auto crits during Earth elementals, so you can build her no crit all damage. Like, there's so many things you can do with Zealot Carmen Rose to make her useful, especially against the current meta. Like, imagine if they just made her into a Violet killer, right? Like, you could literally make it so she cannot be evaded versus Earth Elemental targets, and just smash Violets out of the water. Stuff like that you could have done, instead of making her similarly unused, you know, with the same sort of thing. Now she can not be used against everybody. Sorry, I'm trying not to be negative. But just unexciting for me. The Etta one was exciting. Okay, so let's go take a look at the Black Hand of the Goddess. So this is 24% at the start of battle, and effect increases 1.2% every time the caster attacks, down to 18%. Okay, so that's good, right? So you're at minimum going to get 18%. Interesting. But you're only going down 6%. Why not just... This is a mage artifact, right? Like, it's so... Black Hand of the Goddess. Is it a mage artifact? I'm not actually sure. Black Hand of the Goddess. Sorry, I'm just checking this out here. Yeah, it's a mage artifact. So why not get this a little bit more, right? Because the thing with mage artifacts is you're competing with all of the things. You're competing with Ayala, you're competing with can't remember any of them. All of the things except for everything I can't remember. With Abyssal Crown, you've got Caladra even. Why this? Just have it just like this, because the biggest problem is you're losing 6% crit chance. So does that mean you build what's 24? 76% crit and then just go down to 92% crit after? I mean, or 94% after? I guess that's fine. That doesn't feel too great. Interesting. What is Shepherd of Chaos? As health, evasion, and defense increases by up to 40%, and now just a base 10% defense. Interesting. Like, that's the change. Oh, I'm trying not to be salty, but these are kind of like, am I wrong? Do you think they should be doing more things? Like stuff like this. This is a big change. This is a really big change. Stuff like this is a really big change. These are great. You can't have a lot of these, right? Because these take a lot of thought process. They take a lot of thinking. They take a lot of testing and stuff like that. Well, presumably they test, but stuff like this, like, you know what this is going to do. Actually, this one's pretty big too. You don't really know what this one's going to do, but like, you know what these are going to do. And there's so many artifacts you could have done. It's like they have a limit that they're only allowed to do this many, and we get 10% defense on Shepherd of Chaos. I don't know. I feel like they need to do more things like this. Let's read these comments. Oh, Solitaria was one I even thought about. You guys really need to speed this up. Way too little heroes seeing love it too. So yeah, that's exactly what I feel. You really, like, if you're gonna be, this is the other thing. If you're gonna release heroes like Ran, who are just obnoxiously ridiculous, and Angel of Light Angelica, you should at least get things half in line, right? Like, they're not even close to in line right now. Okay, no GK. He say, boy, what the hell, boy? Jenna is lame. So basically, Emil Kawerik will be able to use his skill 3 no matter what, even if he gets stunned unless he's pushed back or 2-turn stun. Nice. Well, isn't Angel of Light Angelica's silence a 2-turn silence? So he's not actually going to be able to use his skill 3 from that? Am I wrong there? Trash. My 15 Araminta will never see use outside of Ray. I feel you, Tossed. Tossed XX, Tossed XX. I feel you all the way to the bones. Yeah, I'm trying not to be negative. Like, I'm trying to be as positive as I can, and there are some positive things coming from this. Like, I'm pretty happy with Kawerik. I want to try him out. I'm ready to test him. I don't think it's going to change much, but I am ready. Etta will now be way more usable. I don't think she's going to be good by any stretch of the imagination, but I think she's going to be fun and somebody like me can use regularly. Yufine, no change whatsoever. IMO. People get mad when I say IMO out loud, by the way. I'm sorry. I'll try not to. BBK's change is actually pretty sweet. I know a lot of people really like BBK, and just having immortality seems insane and unable to be triggered a counterattack. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I'm probably pissing people off. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.